build. Yeah, I agree with this, but basically, hot takes, pro wrestling, past, present, and future. Go and dive into it, see what you guys have to say. First up from Channel Zero says Drew versus Priest has been the best WrestleMania match build. Yeah, I agree with this, but basically, mainly because the other builds have been pretty lacking. You could put Cody and Cena up there simply for the big, huge, impactful moment. And in fact, in sort of a bucket of lousy builds, I'd probably say it's Cody Cena simply because it's had the big, big moment with Cena turning heel. A couple of really, really good promos where everybody was sort of wondering, what is this guy going to say? What is he going to say? He makes fun of that little kid, tells everybody he's going to ruin wrestling, brings up the spinner title. So there's actually been a lot more intrigue there. I've appreciated the women's world title stuff as well. But other than that, yeah, the builds have been kind of crap. Like there's been one build that's been actually awful, and that's Gunther versus Jey Uso. But yeah, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. It makes sense from a long-term storyline perspective. Drew McIntyre kind of looking to clean the slate of the past and targeting Damian Priest because he has been there benefiting the entire time. And the attention, we talked about this on the Going Raw podcast last week, but like the attention to detail that both guys are putting into this feud shows that it doesn't need to be all that complex. It doesn't need a bunch of huge story beats. It can just be two guys who absolutely hate each other and being able to properly express that hatred in a way that connects with fans. So in terms of like everything that wasn't given a lot of creative energy, which this year is basically just the Cena Cody stuff, and even that hasn't been given like a ton of creative energy, kind of like we saw last year. Yeah, I feel like Drew versus Damian is kind of overperforming the expectations for this particular WrestleMania build. Again, I kind of feel like Drew McIntyre is not going to lose. I know he's not going to lose another major feud match until I think he wins the world title at some point. I feel like he's going to go on a winning streak of sorts. He might get like rolled up or caught or something at some point, but he's going to win all of the feuds that he's got coming up, and he might go undefeated for the year, just as sort of like from now until the rest of the year, just to sort of build him up to really where he should be. And I feel like Triple H really likes Drew McIntyre. He recently re-signed him. He was like one of the wrestlers of the year last year, and I expect him by the end of the year to hold that world title. And it's not going to be the Gunther one. It's going to be the Cody one. I don't know exactly how the booking on that is going to shake out. But if my John Cena video that I did not long ago, where I booked out the remainder of his year, plays out, I think I have Drew McIntyre as one of the guys to take that title off John Cena. I could be wrong about that. That might be Cody Rhodes. Maybe Drew McIntyre wins Money in the Bank again, but this time properly cashes in and actually wins the thing after Cody Cena 2 or something like that. I don't know. But I feel like he's going to have a big year, and I feel like WrestleMania beating Damian Priest is going to be sort of part one of the rest of his year. Psycho Crusher 693 says, hot take, people calling The Rock the next Hogan because of politicking when Triple H and Shawn Michaels are more like Hogan in the politics backstage than Rock ever was. I do remember, and I have no idea how much validity there is to this because it's probably just a dirt sheet thing, but I swear I remember like hearing that somebody, and it was alleged that it was like one of the members of the clique, either Triple H or HBK, was like super politicking against The Rock to be at WrestleMania 15 against Steve Austin. So yeah, I mean, everybody knows but here's the thing, at a certain point, we're not politicking anymore because you're in charge. And now they're in charge, but The Rock is also kind of in charge. But I never really, I'm sure he did plenty. But I don't really remember, as I hit my mic here, I don't remember hearing very many stories of The Rock politicking all that. I think Vince probably just saw the guy. I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting on a gold mine here, so he doesn't really need to politic. But I'm sure he did. Everybody did back then. That was the stories. And when Austin said everybody was a shark back then. So yeah, I kind of feel like he probably was, but nobody is more infamous for politicking at that period of time than the clique was. You know, there's Hogan and there's a clique. Those are like the two acts that are sort of the most well known for their backstage politics. Waking Up Tired says if Rusev returns to WWE, it must be with Aiden English on the mic. That double pop would be insane. Oh, here's my hot take. I was never a huge fan of Rusev Day. I know that the people love the Rusev Day thing with Aiden English, but I just didn't, I don't know. Maybe it was the stories, like they weren't all that great, but I don't know. I really wasn't into Rusev Day stuff. I just really wasn't. It was like, this is all right. I could take it or leave it though. Look, if Rusev comes back as the Redeemer character from AEW, which he totally should, Aiden English shouldn't be anywhere near that. So yeah, no, but I feel it. I'm sure a lot of you agree with this one. Let me know in the comments below. Wrestle Reels says WWE should hold a draft/superstar shakeup twice a year. Man, I don't know about that. That's a lot. I'll counter this by saying they should do it once every 3 years because look, I know a lot of you guys don't like Survivor Series being brand versus brand. It doesn't look like they're bringing that back anytime soon, but they should bring back like a bragging rights. I mean, they kind of got that with Crown Jewel right now. At least they did for 1 year with the world champions going at it. But I always like the brand versus brand thing as long as the brands are sticking to who they're with for like a couple of years. Then it sort of makes sense. There's brand solidarity. I would appreciate the brand split being super hard too. I know it's WrestleMania season, but putting Cody and Cena on Raw and their world championship, the Raw World Championship being relegated to like a C act, man. Yeah, I don't know about that. I want a hard brand split and shake-up/draft once every 3 years. TWK Review says comedy is just as important to wrestling as serious storytelling. All right, so I appreciate comedy in my wrestling. I feel like comedy has its place, but I feel like if wrestling was exclusively comedy, it couldn't survive. If wrestling was exclusively drama, it could. I just feel like all the big moments in pro wrestling history are moments that were built with drama and tension, not necessarily comedy. I mean, comedy comes with real life, but like we're talking about comedy wrestling. I kind of disagree with this one. I like comedy wrestling. Don't get me wrong. I like comedy wrestling. I'm just saying I don't think it's as important as like the drama and tension of like when they're just fake fighting and shit. Like for real, like, oh, I really don't like you. Drew Diesel says main eventing WrestleMania means nothing if the match itself doesn't deliver. Roman's pre-tribal chief main events prove that going on last is irrelevant without delivering in the ring. In the end, match quality and moments will always outlive card placement. Couldn't agree more. It's funny because in the build to WrestleMania, people seem to give a bigger damn about what's going to main event. And then like it doesn't really matter after the fact. It's like, oh, main event, no main event. Was the match good or did the match suck? That's kind of the only thing that matters in the end. So yeah, I agree with this. And yet here we are with Road WrestleMania. We give a damn what's going to main event. So, you know, I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy, man. It's wrestling. It's absurdist. Brain Loader says Gunther's world title reign would have topped Seth Rollins had his house show opponents been his TV/premium live event feuds. Mentioning AJ, Seth, Punk, Ilya, etc. I couldn't agree more here. Every time I see social media posts from WWE on the house show circuit, Gunther's having banger-ass feuds with opponents that I really want to see him having matches with on TV and feuds with on TV. Where's my CM Punk feud? Where's my AJ Styles feud? Where's my Ilya feud? I want those. Yes, absolutely. If these had been his opponents from day one of his world title reign, then like, shit, this would be an all-timer for that title, which given that he's only the third person to hold it, fourth person technically, that's not saying much. But yeah, I think that people would look a lot more favorably upon his world title reign had he had like those opponents as opposed to what we got on TV. Chased Crown says Austin versus Hart should not have been the first match in the Hall of Fame. Here's my hot take. It would have been Andre versus Hogan had the debacle at Netflix not happened. Had Hogan coming out, crowd booing. If that wouldn't have happened, I mean, yeah, I think if that, I think that shit torpedoed everything. I really do. It's entirely possible that had they put that in the Hall of Fame and had Hogan showed up to that Hall of Fame and the crowd started booing and they'd be like, oh my God, the crowd might still boo. I don't know. I'm just saying that thing on Netflix, I think torpedoed what probably would have been the first Hall of Fame match, Hogan versus versus Andre at WrestleMania 3. I firmly believe that. Gorilla Mon says, I think it would have been cool to drop the Ray from Ray Phoenix's name. It's not a bad choice to not to. It's just to me, Penta Phoenix and Lucha Bros sound amazing and acts as a great way for WWE to put their own little spin on both talents while still keeping who they are at their cores. Yeah, but Ray means king in Spanish. So that's like cool. King Phoenix versus just some dude named Phoenix. You gotta keep the Ray in there, man. You gotta keep the Ray. It means king. Cookie says Orton should match whatever record Cena ends up getting. The record should be for one person. You can't say, oh, is he gonna beat the Orton Cena record? No. You gotta have it should be the Cena record. And that's it. It's just the Cena record. I don't think it's gonna happen. Look, the Cena record is going to stand forever. WWE will fold or get bought by somebody and then fold or whatever. That will happen before that record is broken. Because I don't think we're ever going to enter an era again where short world title reigns are a thing. I just do not see it happening. I don't even know why. It just seems like we've been far too entrenched in this, like, hey, at the very least, if it's a world title, you have a 4-month reign, but generally speaking, they're closer, like on average, to 8 months to even more than a year. Because of that, we're never going to get close to 18, 17, whatever he's going to end up with. 17 or 18 is what he's going to end up with, probably 17. We're not going to get close to that again. Not going to happen. Even though wrestlers' careers live a lot longer, they're around a lot more because they take much better. It doesn't matter. That shit is never going to happen again. And I feel like they're going to want one person to hold that record. Jay Sinister says, hot take, when getting stacked, the person on the bottom of the stack is actually the most protected and not the weakest. That person has another body on top of them to kick out of. Bottom is best. That's what I like to say here, Wrestlejuice. Bottom is... Sorry.
Listen, in 2024, we're not overdrafting no more. If you didn't know, Clio is a cash events app where you can get up to $250.
Yeah, man. This is a very good point. It's just physics. You have more people on top of you. Harder to kick out, more protected. I get that. It's just being at the bottom of a stack of human bodies, I feel, is like a little bit more humiliating. But your shit makes sense here. It absolutely makes sense. Carlos Diaz says Maven having more than 600,000 subs and Stevie Richards having 100,000 tells you that people are here for the show of wrestling rather than the sport of wrestling. That is definitely one way to interpret it, and I think it's a valid way. However, I will counter with this. I feel like, and some of this is going to be like literal and some of this is going to be subjective. So I feel like Maven's YouTube channel is just a better fit for YouTube than Stevie Richards. Stevie Richards is essentially doing, hey, look at this, and this plays to what you're saying. Stevie Richards' channel is basically, hey, this is what this guy is doing in the ring, this is why it's wrong or right or whatever. Maven's is, I was a fly on the wall, this is what I observed, but his thumbnails are so fucking good, and I feel like his history in WWE is more relatable. And I think that's kind of the bigger draw for Maven. Number one, the way he titles his videos and his thumbnails. And again, that might play into what you're talking about, but it is just a fantastic use of the YouTube sort of infrastructure that Maven has going for him right now. I mean, the one where he confronts Perry Saturn about the careers and the thumbnail that he uses where it looks like an episode of Dateline. Not Dateline, yeah, it was the old Chris Hansen Dateline, To Catch a Predator, that's what it was. I think that was originally on Dateline. Is magnificent. It is so good. And on top of that, Maven approaches everything with a very humble, matter-of-fact, relatable personality. Stevie Richards can sometimes comes off as a bit of a know-it-all. And I'm not saying that he doesn't know it all, but when you come off as a know-it-all, it could be a little bit off-putting. Like sometimes I watch this stuff and I'm like, why are you throwing shade at this particular wrestler? Like there was one where he threw some shade at Mike Awesome. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm a huge Mike Awesome fan. Mike Awesome was the dude back in the day. And so yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a mix of things, but in the end, what you're saying could be right. That people are there. What did you say exactly? People are there for the show of wrestling rather than the sport of wrestling. I think that's probably true. I think especially here in America, the WWE style of things is more about the show than the sport. So it's not terribly surprising. But Maven is also whoever he's working with on YouTube. They do an amazing job with that channel. Just a killer job with that channel. Cygnus Gaming says hot take Katie Vick storyline is hilarious. It is. There is an amount of absurdist humor with the Katie Vick thing that like that segment which Triple H and everybody points to really could work on like Adult Swim because it's so over the top bad. That yes, there is some absurdist comedy to it. It is one of those things, much like a lot of the content on Adult Swim, like the late night stuff on Adult Swim, where it's like if one of your family members walks in and catches you watching, they'll be like, "What in the hell is this?" And you have a hard time explaining it to them. So I get it, and when you think about it, when you look back on it, when you talk about the Katie Vick storyline, yes, I agree. I think there's definitely some absurd. It's the kind of thing where if explained to you, you can't help but laugh because it's so fucking absurd. So I kind of feel you on this one, and it's something that people have talked about for a long time. The fact they went as far as they did, it's like why? Like even the fact that they did that is kind of hilarious in just a really dark way. So I feel you on that one. Anyways, that's going to do it for this edition of Hot Takes. Thanks everybody for your hot takes. I appreciate it. Do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and we'll see you guys around.